Good morning and happy Wednesday, everyone. My name is Nick Marro with Occupy Fantasy. You could find me on Twitter at Nick Marro DFS. I'm here today once again to help you break down the NBA DFS slate for both DraftKings and FanDuel. We have a massive 12-game slate today. I like to go game by game, which means we're going to have to move through things pretty quickly. If you haven't already, please like the video. Also, subscribe to the channel. That helps us get more free content like this out to you. Also, if you're not already a member at Occupy Fantasy, check the links in the description below. You get access to our various lineup builders, the model you see here, our private Discord server, as well as a 30-minute window where you could talk directly to one of our experts about specific lineup questions for each given slate. But yeah, like I said, 12 gamer today, a lot to get through, so let's just get right into it. I'm going to click between the two sites. If you see me looking off to the right, it's because they have multiple monitors open, checking out injury reports, betting lines, etc. But yeah, let's get into the slate. So the first game on the slate, 7 o'clock window, we have the Indiana Pacers at the Philadelphia 76ers. The 76ers are 7.5 point favorites at home. The Pacers are obviously 7.5 point underdogs. 232 point game total here. So let's see. So no real injury news for the 76ers. They did just get Tyrese Maxey back, which is obviously significant. Um, Over on the Indiana side, it looks like Isaiah Jackson and Chris Duarte are both questionable. Daniel Tice is still out. So really nothing major from this game. I mean, it is a high total. I would say this matchup certainly benefits Philly more than it does Indiana. Philly, one of the better defensive teams in the league. Indiana's kind of the opposite. Indiana also paces up these 76ers. So I do like Embiid. I do like Harden. I think they're both fine. They're kind of priced as though Maxey is out, though. So even though Maxey isn't getting full run right now, I don't know that we need to rush to either of those two as payups. But again, it's an excellent game environment. I can certainly see getting to them here. Then over on the Indiana side, it's really Tyrese Halliburton for me. I don't mind Buddy Hield. He's been good, obviously scoring dependent, but he's been super consistent, which is a new thing for him. We never really saw that out of him when he was in Sacramento. Don't mind Miles Turner, obviously a tough matchup against Embiid. Um, but yeah, there's really no secondary plays from Indiana I'm all that interested in unless someone gets ruled out. Rookies Mathurin and Nemhard have both been solid, but on such a massive slate, I don't think we need to go there. So really no major priorities from me here. If we're sorting by index, which is going to be a weight of upside and price. Definitely an emphasis on the upside. We're seeing Embiid pop as one of the best plays on the slate. Again, really good matchup. He is expensive though, and there are some other payups I think I slightly prefer, but you really can't go wrong if you get to Embiid here. So moving into the next game on the slate, we have the Charlotte Hornets at the Memphis Grizzlies. Um, Let's see. I'm going to go in the order of the official NBA injury report, so it's just going to take me a minute to click between the two. But we have the Grizzlies as 8 point favorites on the road in Charlotte. 236 point game total here, so another good one. So for Charlotte, Kelly Oubre is out, Gordon Hayward is doubtful, and Cody Martin is questionable. Then over on the Grizzlies side, we have Brandon Clark out, Danny Green out, Santi Aldama is questionable again. Zaire Williams is questionable again. So, I mean, the bigger news here is certainly on the Charlotte side. Um, just pulling them up. I mean, with Oubre and Hayward out, we're going to see extra usage for Ball, extra usage for Rozier. Those are the two plays we're probably prioritizing here. I mean, Ball's price is up. He's up over 10K on DK. I imagine the same on FanDuel. Don't quote me on that yet. Oh, 9,700 on FanDuel. That's an excellent price. I really like Ball over there. But yeah, on DK, I could see getting to him again with those two wings out. They both take up a lot of usage. That's going to create opportunity for someone like Ball. Rozier, a bit cheaper. He's going to be solid here as well. They did get Dennis Smith Jr. back. He hasn't really cut into either of these guys in terms of usage or minutes. Not too concerned about him. Don't mind Plumlee or Washington in the front court. Jaden McDaniels, also a player who has had some big games, but very boom bust in nature. Kind of a risk reward type play. Not someone I'd be rushing to get to on such a massive slate. But I will say both Rozier and Ball look excellent here for Charlotte. Then over on the Memphis side, I do like Ja Morant. This is a great matchup. Similarly to what Philly's seeing against Indy, we're seeing a situation here for the Grizzlies where they're paced up against a soft defense. So I do like Ja Morant. I don't mind Desmond Bane. Jaren Jackson Jr., if he can stay out of foul trouble, could crush here. Steven Adams has had some massive games lately. Really like what we've seen out of him this season. Probably one of my favorite center plays on the slate if we don't get more news. But yeah, 5,400 on DK is just too cheap for him. And then 6,800 on FanDuel, much less likely to get to him there. Again, on these larger slates, I do like playing both sites because you can kind of pick and choose where you want to play players based on their prices. For me, I like Adams a lot on DK. I think Child looks fine on both sites. I think Bain is fine on both sites. Finally starting to see the minutes we expect out of him. I actually think Bain might be a slightly better play on FanDuel just because he's getting the multi-positional eligibility. But yeah, I think we could see him go over 30 minutes here tonight for the first time since his injury, which would certainly present some value. Brooks, Conchar, all okay. I mean, with Eldama and Clark likely out, we could see some minutes open up in the front court. For me, it really just puts me on more Jackson and more Adams, though. I'm not really getting to some of the secondary options like Laveria, etc. So yeah, I like the Charlotte side. I like the Memphis side here. More so the pay up options, and then Steven Adams, especially on DK. So moving into the next game on the slate, we have the Thunder at the Magic. The Magic are 2-point favorites at home. Yeah, so Orlando is dealing with some league suspensions from that altercation with Killian Hayes and the Pistons. Bol Bol's also in health and safety protocols, so we're going to see some value here. Bol Bol's out, Isaac's still out. He should be back soon, though, which is good to see. Chuma Okeke, Admiral Schofield both out. Suggs is out, and then Wagner. The Wagner brothers are serving their suspensions this evening. So what is left for Orlando is really where we got to kind of start this conversation. I mean, Banchero looks good here. I do like Markel Fultz. Wendell Carter Jr. with Bol now out is going to be an appealing option. Um, and yeah, it's a good matchup against OKC. OKC is on a back-to-back. They did have SGA out last night. Their injury report is not out yet. So I imagine SGA plays and they rested him just because of the back-to-back. But if he's out, we're going to want to go to all those starters in OKC again. That's Josh Giddey. They all went off last night, it seemed. Giddey, Williams, Dort, Kenrich Williams, Trey Mann had a really good game. Darius Baisley didn't play at all, so maybe we see him play on the back-to-back. Not a piece of value I'd necessarily be trusting. Jalen Williams without the eye is the better of the two. He's the wing. Jalen Williams with the eye is in the front court. But if Jalen with the EN is starting, I do like him a lot on both sides here. Even with SGA back, I do think he's an okay tournament play. But with SGA out, both he Trey Mann would become priorities. Mann didn't even start, and he went off the bench, so it was good if you stuck on him. But yeah, we need to wait on that news for OKC, and then really, I mean, Orlando does look good here. I don't want to kind of glance over them too quickly. If we see Gary Harris back in starting, he'd become extremely appealing as a value option. Um, Obviously scoring dependent, but if the minutes are going to be there for him, he is near min price on both sides. Again, I'm prioritizing Ponchero and Fultz. I also like Wendell Carter. Not necessarily as confident in the minutes for Wendell Carter. Um, I mean, he was hurt. He came back. He's kind of been resting on occasion. We haven't seen him go over 26 minutes yet since returning from that injury. So maybe get to some Mo Bamba instead. If we see Bamba starting alongside Carter, he's probably a good value play at center. But again, the priorities here are certainly Banchero with both Wagner brothers out. I also really like Fultz. I don't mind Cole Anthony. But yeah, Cole Anthony's been pretty inconsistent since he's been back. But definitely keep an eye on that starting lineup. It's going to be a major key for Orlando here. If we see someone like Terrence Ross, Gary Harris slide in as a starter, they're going to become a good boom bust value type play. And then OKC, still no injury report. They're on a back to back. So a very, very important game, that OKC at Magic game. So I know I was pretty quick going through it, but definitely keep an eye on the news and lineups there. Moving into the next game on the slate, we have the Cleveland Cavaliers at the Phoenix Suns. The Suns are 5-point underdogs on the road in Cleveland. Excuse me. Just a 218-point total here. So of all the 7 o'clock games, this is certainly the lowest. But let's see what we're looking at for injuries. So no Devin Booker, no Jay Crowder, no Cam Johnson for the Suns. And what does that do? Obviously, that opens up minutes, or usage rather. Excuse me. That's going to open up usage for Chris Paul, who I like a lot here. Campaign and Landry Shamet are both back tonight, so that could kind of level things out in terms of minutes and usage in this backcourt, but I do think Paul is still going to be that focal point. Don't mind Shamet as a punt, but he's really not a punt anymore. They raised his price because Booker's been hurt, so I'm really not rushing to get to him. Yeah, I mean, it's really Chris Paul here. I don't mind Bridges. Ayton looks fine in the front court. There's just a ton of great center plays today. Um, but yeah, I'm just seeing if the prices are any better on DK. I mean, Campaign returning from injury. Usually, when we have one or Paul or Booker out, he's okay. I'm not rushing to him tonight, though. This is just a low total game. Tough matchup for Phoenix. I don't mind Chris Paul. He actually plays better in some of these slow paced games. But other than him and Ayton, even with Booker out, I'm not rushing to anyone here. We're looking at a similar situation over on the Cleveland side, except, yeah, we're going to have to probably roster some of these guys. I mean, Donovan Mitchell's coming off probably the best game of his career. Not probably, certainly the best game of his career. He's still just under 10K on both sites, but Darius Garland's going to be out tonight. Evan Mobley's listed as questionable. Dean Wade, Dylan Windler also out. Ricky Rubio hasn't played all season. He's still out. But yeah, I mean, I think you can consider Donovan Mitchell a borderline core play here. It's going to feel like point chasing going back to him on a 12-game slate after he had a 70 real point performance. But I mean, even against Phoenix, I don't mind him. He's going to dominate the usage there. I will say this, if Evan Mobley's back, that could cut into his upside. I don't think he's going to repeat what he did the other night. But if Mobley's back, I'll certainly be comfortable coming in under the field on a likely very, very popular Donovan Mitchell here. But all that being said, I do think he's an excellent play. And if Mobley's out, Jared Allen's going to be a great play for Cleveland here as well. So it looks like Garland's doubtful. That would be surprising if he did end up playing. But keep an eye on the injury report. We have seen guys upgraded throughout the day before. But if things stick as they stand right now, Karis LeVert's going to be a really good play. Donovan Mitchell's going to be a really great play, but maybe over owns. And then Jared Allen, if Mobley's out, is going to look excellent. One guy I forgot to mention is Kevin Love. Kevin Love started last game, looked excellent. That game did go to OT, so he did get there on value a little easier than normal because of those extra minutes. But yeah, Kevin Love's fully healthy, and he's a offensive threat for sure, which definitely favors his upside in DFS. The price is up a bit at 5,700, but if Mobley is out and Garland stays out, I do like Love. Um, so yeah, Cleveland, even in a tough game environment against Phoenix, low total, with two of their best players out, they're going to be a team we have to consider. So please keep an eye on that one. Moving into the next game on the slate, we have the Bucks at the Raptors. We are now into the 7:30 window. Every game so far to this point has been at 7 o'clock Eastern. The Raptors host the Bucks as 5-point favorites at home, 226.5 point total here. So this spread does seem a bit fishy. Um, let's see if there's an injury report out for Milwaukee yet. No injury report out for Milwaukee. They're on a back-to-back. Chris Middleton's going to be out. I know that's not on the injury report yet, but I can't imagine he comes back here. I think we're going to see one of Giannis and or Drew Holiday ruled out, and I think that's why the Raptors are favored. We have seen the Bucks resting guys on back-to-backs. Drew working his way back from an injury, and Giannis. I mean, I don't think they need to rest him, but he was questionable yesterday and then upgraded to probable, so I could see them resting him here. All this to be said, keep an eye on this one. So if those guys are out, I mean, Javon Carter, if he's the only point guard and starting at point guard, he becomes appealing. Guys like Grayson Allen look okay as scoring dependent wings, but the priorities would be Bobby Portis, Brook Lopez, if he's in, coming off an excellent game last night. I could see them maybe resting him. But really, it's going to be Bobby Portis if Giannis is out. Joe Ingles has been seeing more minutes, not someone I'm rushing to. You can use Pat Connaughton as a punt. But this is just another situation we have to monitor closely. And for that reason, I'm not really comfortable saying anything's a core play right now. If Giannis does play, he is one of the better pay-ups on the slate. Kind of tough to afford at 12.3, and I think a similar price over on DK. But he's shown, especially with Middleton out of the lineup, that he can put up massive, massive scores. He looked great last night. You're getting him under 12K on DK. So if he's in, I do like him over there. But again, if he's out, Bobby Portis becomes a priority. If Holiday and Giannis are both out, I really like Javon Carter, Grayson Allen. Don't mind Pat Connaughton or Joe Ingles is kind of last man in punt type plays. But another situation we have to keep an eye on. And then over on the Toronto side, they're actually healthier than they've been for most of the season. Only Porter, Harper, and Banton on the injury report. Toronto's one of these teams where they have great players in the starting lineup. It's just tough to know who's going to go off on a given night, which makes it difficult to play them in DFS. I like Siakam best of the bunch. Fine with Van Fleet, Barnes, OG. they're all okay plays. I mean, Trent's been going off lately, but most of that has come with Van Fleet out of the lineup, so proceed with some caution there. But yeah, if I'm ranking these guys just in terms of upside, it's pretty much the order of their price. I think it's Siakam, Van Fleet. OG and Barnes are kind of interchangeable. And then I'm really not getting to any of the secondary plays with this team healthy because their prices have all kind of been up because there have been starters out in most of their games played so far this season. So I like Toronto. Don't love Toronto here, but certainly keep an eye on that Milwaukee lineups news, Milwaukee Bucks lineup news. No injury report yet as of about 10 a.m. Eastern. So moving into the next game on the slate, we have the New York Knicks at the San Antonio Spurs. Looking for the spread here. The Knicks are 9-point favorites at home hosting San Antonio. 227.5 point game total. Click over. So RJ Barrett's still out. Derrick Rose is questionable. Obi Toppin is doubtful. So pretty standard Knicks lineup tonight, I imagine. We're going to like Jalen Brunson. Don't mind Julius Randle. Both good plays. Neither I'm forcing. We've seen Emmanuel quickly have some really big games lately with Barrett out. I don't mind him here. His price is up on both sides. And some of his biggest games have come with Brunson out as well. So while I do like quickly here, I really don't love him. I think he's an okay option, but not a priority. I do like Brunson. I do really like Randall. I think both are strong tournament plays. This is just a really good matchup against the Spurs. On the Spurs side, it looks like Charles Bassey's out. Devin Vassell is questionable. So if Vassell's in, I'm really not crazy about any of these Spurs. But if he's out, Keldon Johnson and Trey Jones both become extremely appealing options. And then whoever ends up starting at the wing, whether that's Richardson or Bates. Bates Giop's listed as out there. FanDuel has Bates Giop out, but I think he's going to be in. So keep an eye on that. He's not on the actual injury report. Sochan's fine, but another guy who's been priced up a bit too aggressively. So as things stand, I'm not crazy about any Spurs with Vassell in. If Vassell's out, I think you could get to Johnson and Trey Jones and feel really good about it. Over on the next side, it's kind of the main starters that we're looking at. It's Randall, Brunson. Don't mind quickly, but he's a little overpriced. Mitchell Robinson is a boom-bust center play, but there are a ton of good centers on the slate. Quentin Grimes also seeing a full run of minutes, like 35 plus with Randall out of the lineup. He's an okay option, but not someone I think we have to rush to get to on a 12-game slate. So we can move into the next game here. We have the Brooklyn Nets at the Chicago Bulls. Nets on a 12-game win streak right now are 5-point favorites on the road in Chicago. 235.5 point game total here. So really favorable game environment. We got a close spread. Two teams that are very aggressive offensively and a very high total. So on the Bulls side, we're looking at Markieff Morris as probable. Or that's the Nets side. What am I saying? Markieff Morris is probable for the Nets. Royce O'Neal is back and probable. No major news on the Nets for injuries as things stand. Over on the Bulls side, Drummond's back and probable. Nothing else major. Obviously, Lonzo Ball's still out. But yeah, I mean, this is kind of a situation where we have to look at the prices. These are two teams with a lot of good players, so it's always tough to kind of know exactly who to play. So I'm going to go to our model here and add these two teams just to take a look at the index scores. So KD popping on both sides, just over 10K, really strong play here. Kyrie's been excellent, under 9K. I think he's one of your better tournament guard plays on the slate. I don't mind DeRozan. For his price, he's more scoring dependent than guys we usually see in the 9K range. For example, I'd rather get to Donovan Mitchell with Garland out here at a similar price point, but he's okay. Vucevic is fine. The Nets do struggle against centers. But I really like Zach LaVine, where he's sub 8K on both sides. This is the type of matchup he should be able to thrive in. Ben Simmons, sub 6K on FanDuel, does feel a bit too cheap. I don't mind him here. With Royce O'Neal back, I don't know that we get a repeat performance of the big game he had last time out. Similar story with TJ Warren. When these Nets are fully healthy, you're going to see some of these secondary guys like Yuta Watanabe, Seth Curry, TJ Warren, even Royce O'Neal can go off on a given night, but it's like you're kind of picking from that bunch too, and they're not as appealing as some of the upside plays where you're making similar decisions for other teams, like the Bulls, for example. So I don't know. I do like this game. I do want pieces of it. I don't know that any one play is standing out above the others as these teams are both healthy, but I think anything on the top end here can be considered for sure. So just going to click refresh on the model. Still waiting on ownership projections. Obviously going to take some time today with it being a 12-game slate, but we can move into the next game while that loads. We have the Houston Rockets at the New Orleans Pelicans. And this is an important one for sure. Oh, it does look like ownership's coming in, which is good. I'll talk about that in a bit. Pelicans. Yeah, the site I'm looking at, I don't know that they had the odds out because of the injury news. Let's see here. Oh, there we go. The Pelicans are 7-point favorites at home hosting the Rockets. 228.5 point total here. So, New Orleans. Yeah, this is significant. We have Brandon Ingram out. Zion's going to miss several weeks. Larry Nance is out. So what does that leave us? CJ McCollum. CJ McCollum's going to dominate the usage here in a matchup against a soft defense at home. 228.5 point total. I do really like CJ here. I'm going to use the model again here to kind of look at this team. I think it's a good way to kind of check things out. So we have CJ, who's pretty popular on both sides. I imagine he gets even more popular throughout the day. With both Zion and Ingram out, Trey Murphy becomes a very appealing option. I also like Najee Marshall, but earlier in the season, in this situation, we are seeing Marshall near minimum price and Murphy kind of where he's priced now. So I actually think you're getting better bang for your buck out of Trey Murphy than you might be out of Najee Marshall. Both are certainly in play, though. Don't mind Herb Jones as a secondary option. Alvarado's okay as a punt at guard. I'm hoping we get better guard value throughout the day. And then Joval, obviously kind of boom or bust. The minutes aren't always there for him, but with Larry Nance out tonight, I do think those minutes are more secure. So Joval's actually one of my favorite tournament centers on the slate. I like Joval a lot here. I like McCollum a lot here. Marshall, Murphy, Jones, all quality options. Keep it on the starting lineup, though. They could get a little weird with it. We have seen New Orleans kind of mix things up in the past. Maybe we see someone like Jackson Hayes start, who become extremely appealing as value. So keep an eye over there. But as things stand, I'm saying CJ is a priority everywhere. And then in tournaments, I do really like Valanciunas as well. Over on the Houston side, no major injuries to speak of. So I don't know. We don't have to go too deep into Houston. I do like Jalen Green. I do like Kevin Porter. They're both fine. Sengun missed a game. He's back. But yeah, just a lot of good centers tonight. I think you could play any three of them. Don't hate Jabari Smith, who's been playing better basketball. Eric Gordon, if you're really desperate for value, is a scoring dependent guard, but not someone I'd probably be using on a 12-game slate. So nothing I'm excited about on the Houston side, but it does make sense to maybe run it back with someone like Porter, Green, or Sengun. If you're loading up on Pelicans. But for me, really, CJ's a priority. I do really like Joval tonight as well. And all those wings, Jones, Murphy, Marshall, all look good for the Pels. So moving into the next game on the slate, we have the Minnesota Timberwolves at the Portland Trailblazers. Timberwolves are actually underdogs at home. Here we have the Blazers as 1.5 point favorites on the road, 233.5 point game total. This game is also in that 8 p.m. window. So let's check over on the injury report. Nurkic is probable. Gary Payton's questionable. Winslow's still out. So nothing major there. Then over on, I'll do one team at a time. So let's go Portland first. So for Portland, Dame obviously looks good. We could get to Jeremy Grant. Don't mind Josh Hart. He has seen a little bit of extra run with Winslow out of the lineup. Not enough for him to be like a core player or anything, but he just remains reasonably priced. Don't mind Nurk or Simmons. More so tournament plays. They're both kind of priced where they should be. But I do like Dame a lot here, especially on FanDuel. He feels a bit too cheap compared to some of the other high-end guards. So I could see getting to some Dame. Over on the Minnesota side, obviously no Karl-Anthony Towns. Naz Reid listed as questionable. Taurean Prince could be back tonight. Jordan McLaughlin's still out. So Jalen Noel's been seeing a few extra minutes with McLaughlin out, but the bigger boost has actually been for D'Angelo Russell. He's having to do more ball handling. So I like Russell here. I don't mind Edwards. Gobert's fine. There's just a ton of good center plays. All three of these guys are okay. None I'm really prioritizing. If we get Prince and Reed both out again, I'll say Kyle Anderson becomes a very appealing option. Wouldn't mind McDaniels either. But another situation where you have to keep an eye on the news, and not one as vital as some of the other spots we've discussed so far. So a decent spot. Nothing I'm prioritizing from either side right now, but certainly a game we want to consider. I think if there was one play I'm really wanting to get to here, it's Dame. Sub 10K both sites, just over 9K on FanDuel. That's just very appealing to me. So moving into that late window, we have the Atlanta Hawks at the Sacramento Kings. No injury report yet for the Kings. They're on a back-to-back. They're going to be 1-point favorites at home, 245.5 point game total here. So massive, massive total. No Clint Capella for the Hawks, and no Jarrett Culver either. So Anekia Okongwu, once again, is a very appealing center play. He's been excellent with Capella out of the lineup. Massive total here. That should only favor him. I like him. better on DK, good on both sites. Trae Young, just under 10K. I think he's fine. It's tough not to like him given the total here. He's been more inconsistent than we're really used to with Trae, but I do think he's an okay option. Not someone I'm necessarily rushing to get to. Just bring up his game log to take a look here. But he did have a couple good games back to back. Obviously, there is some turmoil with the coaching staff there, but I don't think it matters. As long as he's on the floor, Trae Young is going to be scoring fantasy points, so I do like him in this game environment. DeJounte Murray looks good here as well. Not someone I'd ever be forcing unless Trey's out of the lineup, but someone you'd want to mix in to your tournament bills. Already talked about Okongwu. I love him here. John Collins has seen a nice bump with both Hunter and Capella out. It looks like Hunter's back. I think he was last game too. Still don't mind him here. Hunter himself's an okay play. And I'm kind of talking about more of these guys than I would in another game just because the total is so massive. These are two offensive first teams. But on the back-to-back, I do think there is at least some slight blowout risk, even though Sacramento's favored. Kind of a crazy thing to say, so maybe take that one back. But keep an eye on the Kings here. I think everyone plays. If they're healthy, Sabonis, Fox both look like excellent options. Harrison Barnes, Herter, Murray, all his wings okay plays. Even Malik Monk, scoring dependent guard. This is the type of matchup he thrives in. But keep an eye on that Sacramento news. Wouldn't shock me to see if they rested someone like Sabonis or Fox. If Fox is out, Davion Mitchell and or Terrence Davis become very appealing options. If Sabonis is out, I can't imagine Sabonis rest tonight. But we would have to take a look at maybe Rashawn Holmes if he started, maybe a Trey Lyles if he started. But let's just hope everyone plays for Sacramento. Really good spot for both these teams. If there are priorities, it's probably Trey and Okongwu. But yeah, just tough to go wrong if you're playing plays from this game here. So only a couple games left. Thanks again, everyone, for hanging in with me. We have the Detroit Pistons at the Golden State Warriors. The Pistons are 6.5-point underdogs on the road in Golden State. 231-point game total. So let's see. Marvin Bagley's going to be out for a while. Cade Cunningham's still out. Killian Hayes has finally finished serving his suspension, though. So we've been playing a lot of Pistons lately. Guys like Ivy, Alec Burks. Who else? Sadiq Bey when he's starting at the wing. They're all okay tonight, but with Hayes back in the lineup, there's really no one I'm prioritizing. Most comfortable with Bojan Bogdanovic from the Pistons. If I'm playing someone from this game, it might be him. Don't mind Jalen Duren as a center value play, but no priorities because Killian Hayes is back from serving that suspension. Over on the Golden State side, no Steph Curry, no Wiggins, no Kuminga, no Wiseman, no Iguodala, no JaMychal Green. So no surprises, really. We knew all these guys would probably be out here. Klay Thompson looks good coming off a huge game. Don't mind Jordan Poole. DiVincenzo's been solid. His price doesn't really seem to move. He's an okay kind of last man in type play. We have seen some really strong games out of Kevin Looney. With Wiseman out, his minutes are a bit more secure. He's probably my favorite Warrior in this matchup, as weird as that is to say. We're getting him at power forward on FanDuel, so I like him much more over there where you don't have to use that center spot. But yeah, decent game environment, two kind of mediocre defenses. I do really like Looney on FanDuel, but otherwise I don't know there's anything I'm really forcing here. Jordan Poole, with Steph out, the defenses have been focusing on him, which has kind of capped his ceiling a bit. But in this matchup, I don't know that there's really anyone that's going to slow him down. So I do like Jordan Poole a lot here as well. Moving into the next game on the slate, we have the Lakers at the Heat. The Lakers are 5.5-point underdogs at home, hosting the Heat. Anthony Davis is out. LeBron James is questionable. Lonnie Walker is questionable. Russell Westbrook is probable. So LeBron's questionable every day. I think he goes here. I wouldn't look too deeply into it. We do like Thomas Bryant as long as he's starting at center with Anthony Davis out of the lineup. He's fine. Lonnie Walker, I imagine he goes, but if he's out again, we could use Austin Reeves as a value play. Don't hate Russ coming off the bench, but certainly not a priority. Over on the Miami side, we have, let's see. Dedmon questionable, Haslam questionable, Jovic out, Caleb Martin probable, Duncan Robinson questionable, Gabe Vincent probable, Omar Yurtseven out. So a long injury report, but most of their starters are in and healthy. Don't mind Butler here. He always gets up for these games against LeBron. Like, it's just a historical fact. I don't mind him at all in this spot where he's just over 9K on both sites. Hero's been great, but with Bam in the lineup, he does feel a bit overpriced. I don't mind Bam, but as far as centers go, he's really not even in my top 3 or 4 tonight, so I wouldn't get to him frequently. Kyle Lowry's fine. No priorities here. Really, I do like LeBron. I do like Jimmy Butler. Keep an eye on this news, though. If LeBron were to be out, obviously a ton of Laker value would open up. If Walker's out again, I do like Reeves as a value play. So we have completed the game by game. Thanks, everyone, for tuning in. Let's quickly take a look at the model here. Just sorting by index again, these are the best plays on the slate. Um, Weighing upside and then price. So Giannis is popping towards the top again. Keep an eye on that. There's a chance he could rest on the back-to-back. I do think he goes here. If he's in, he's excellent. Embiid, Sabonis, Randall, no surprises there. Durant feels a bit too cheap. LeBron also questionable. I do imagine he plays. SGA should be in on the back-to-back. He did rest yesterday, but if he's out, obviously some value opens up for OKC. CJ McCollum, though, probably one of my favorite plays on the slate. I put him on the cover of the video today. With both Zion and Ingram out, he becomes a priority. Donovan Mitchell with Garland out again. I don't think he's going to repeat what he did last time, but he's still one of my favorite plays on the slate. I like Kyrie as kind of a tournament pivot off those chalkier guards, but yeah, really like Mitchell, really like CJ. Those are kind of my 2 favorite pay-ups as things stand, so I'd probably go balance with the rest of everything else. Looking at ownership, Jalen Brunson, very popular over on DK. Again, RJ Barrett's still out. The Knicks are going to be paced up against a soft defense in San Antonio. So we like Brunson, quickly solid. Much better on DK, though. I don't know if this price is accurate, but yes, I'll keep an eye on that. Steven Adams looks really good on DK. Paulo Banchero. Obviously, the Magic have a bunch of guys suspended. And just taking a look at the highest owned plays on FanDuel. No surprise here with Ingram and Zion both out. Najee Marshall popping towards the top. We like Banchero with all those Magic suspended. Brunson looks good on both sides. Carter Jr. Good play, but I also like some Obama. Both kind of feel like more tournament type plays to me than cash plays. Trey Murphy, Herb Jones, quickly is popular over here as well, even though he is getting expensive. Still a solid play as long as Barrett's out and he's starting. Kevon Looney, and then Rozier I see popping. I also like LaMelo Ball. It just looks like those wings and Hayward and Oubre will be out for Charlotte tonight. So once again, my name's Nick Marro. I thank you for tuning in. If you're not already a member at Occupy Fantasy, check the links in the description below. Please like the video, subscribe to the channel, follow me on Twitter at Nick Marro DFS. Just running out of words today. Let's have some fun tonight, everyone, and make some money. Take care and good luck.